Welcome to Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. We're doing a special Valentine's episode along with the Radio Meanwhile Network. Today, we're going to be talking about Karma in Love, which is issues 31 through 36 of the anthology series Infinity Comics Love Unlimited.
Now, the last time we covered an Infinity comic, well, let's see, we've done X-Men Green, where we talked about Nature Girl. Yeah. And we also did the Deadpool Invisible Woman one that you hated so much.
Gosh. I don't know why I ever read a Deadpool anything.
But, honestly, I love the Infinity comics.
Yeah, you're more of an Infinity Comics guy than me. I've enjoyed the X-Men Infinity Comics that I have read.
Okay. I mean, I'm Spider-Bot. I love Spider-Bot.
Yeah, you like all the we're embracing this format to the fullest.
I do.
You like those.
Yeah, I like It's Jeff. I like Alligator Loki. There's Cosmo from Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a bunch of little goofy ones like that. This one, this Love Unlimited one, is just little vignettes about like all the romances across the Marvel Universe. And I've read a few. I read Gwenpool. I read Ms. Marvel.
Gwenpool has romance?
Gwenpool does have romance. I read The Wolverine, and I think I read Gambit Rogue as well. So I've read a bunch of these.
I have not read the Gambit Rogue one.
That seems
I instead chose Karma in Love.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do it. New Mutants. Yeah.
Okay, so these issues came out on the Marvel Unlimited app from January 5th to February 9th, 2023. They were written by Trung Le Nguyen. This is his only Marvel work. He wrote The Magic Fish, which is a semi-autobiographical piece that was nominated for the Eisner Award and won the Harvey Award for Book of the Year in 2021. Now you, Nicholas, are a librarian, so those things have meaning to you.
They do, and actually I read this book when it came out, Magic Fish. It's very good. I didn't realize until we started in this that it was the same author. But The Magic Fish he uses like Vietnamese folklore, and it's sort of like Little Mermaid-esque, but it's sort of about him coming out to his mom.
Oh, interesting.
So it's great, and the art is great. I was glad that he did both the art and writing here, because I really like the look.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I did notice in this run, there were little tiny bits of Vietnamese lore and stuff that he like tucked in here and there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I read that even, there's some stuff with the names, which I think we'll probably get into, but I read even some of the punctuation and stuff that's traditional has never really been in it before this section here. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. The main characters in the story are Karma and Galura.
That's right. Galura is a more recent addition, but let's talk about Karma. Karma was created by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller, so not too shabby.
Back in the day.
That's right. Marvel Team Up number 100, 1980 was her first appearance. She bopped around with Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and was an original member of the New Mutants back in the day. Have you read any of the classic New Mutants? Have you read any
yes.
of that? Yeah,
I've read. It's funny with the New Mutants because for me, I remember like the main ones like Ileana, like Danny and things like that. But whenever any other character pops in, it just sort of like glosses over me. Because like you tell me like she was in these. I read all of those and I do not remember this character.
Well, I don't think she was in like the movie or some of the other things. But I think she's
I've read the comics. Thank you.
No, I just mean
she's not in the movie, so it's okay that you don't.
That's not what I meant.
Okay.
Anyway, she was one of the first openly lesbian mainstream superhero characters at her debut, so that's an interesting fact here. She was originally named Shan Khoi Man, though this comic changes that to a proper Vietnamese name, which is Swoon Cao Man. And I read an interview with the author where he was saying basically the sh sound, the SH sound, is not a sound that's in the Vietnamese language.
So it's kind of like an anglicized version of her.
Well, it's kind of like in Star Trek, Sulu is meant to be a Japanese character, but the
like Sulu.
That's not part of it, you know. So he has sort of adapted that just in this Infinity comic, but in the mainstream from now on, her name is Swoon instead of Shan.
Well, that's great. Good for them.
Yeah, but they also incorporate it into the narrative.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, a really fun moment because the comic starts by sort of summarizing how these two kind of met.
Yeah,
and in this conversation, he writes her saying, "Hey, listen, why don't you call me by my actual Vietnamese name?" But she's telling Elle, she's like, "So they all call me this, but it's sort of like, she says it's like when you order a coffee,
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
it doesn't really super matter, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, Shun, or whatever your name, and she's like, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
just give me my coffee. And then Elle is like, okay, so by like the coffee person, you're talking about like all of your closest friends and teammates, and she's like, yeah, I should probably tell them how to say my name.
Yeah.
But I thought that was
No,
funny,
it is.
because it's very real.
It is. It's a funny little bit too. Let's see. So let me give you a little background on Karma. Okay. So Swen and her twin brother Tran were the children of a colonel in the Vietnamese army. So in the wake of the war and all that, they and their younger siblings end up with their uncle, who is like not a great guy. Their powers are sort of coming out, and they have mind control and psychic possession. And the uncle wants them to use their powers for his nefarious deeds. And Tran is kind of like, yeah, let's roll the dice. Let's see what happens. And Karma is like, not about that. But the uncle holds the younger siblings captive and is like, oh, you have to do this. And eventually this leads to a face-off with Tran and Karma, which they merge. Like, they have this big, like, psychic fight, and they merge, so she sort of, like, absorbs him.
So does his body get absorbed, or does she just, like, steal his...
Yeah, his body is sort of like, as you see in the comics when you're following him, like, Cerebro can't get a lock on him because he's just sort of like the wind.
But he has a body.
Yes.
Well, now I'm curious.
Well,
I want to know if, like, his, like, in this fight, did his body, like, did she absorb his psyche and his body is now empty? Or did they, like, merge bodies?
No, I think the body, I don't think there's just, like, some body somewhere that's his body. I think
Okay.
it all just kind of becomes...
That's a different kind of power.
It
but
is
okay.
a little different. It's a little different, yeah. Anyway, here we are in the Krakoa era, and shortly after the start of her relationship with Galura and the Hellfire Gala, she enters the arena and is killed for the purpose of being reborn to
Yes.
sort of free Tran.
Yeah,
so
this
they
is a
can-
thing that they do in Krakoa,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's part of this weird culture that they're starting with the mutants on Krakoa.
Yeah.
Like, they have this whole, it feels very much like they're very deliberately forming traditions and like a
Yeah.
way of being that is very distinct from humanity.
True.
And it's just because, like, this particular thing is just because they have this ability with, like, Cerebro and whatever to, like, preserve the psyches of people. And
Yeah.
then they also have this ability with other mutants who, like, make eggs. It's a whole thing. to like, rebirth the body. And then they
Right.
connect them, whatever. But the point is,
Yeah.
they turned that into this whole big thing. Because, like, if you get killed in battle, like a regular battle, they'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, it's okay. We can just bring you back.
Right.
But then there are these characters who, for whatever reason, maybe they have like they, lost some part of their body or whatever, and they decide that they want to be reborn
Right.
whole.
Yeah.
But they aren't going out and, like, getting killed naturally. So they're like,
Yeah.
we're going to make this whole big thing, like a whole showdown.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just, okay, we'll kill you, and then
Yeah.
they do a whole
Take
thing.
two of these and you're dead.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do
yeah.
a whole thing where, like,
Right.
they carefully pick the person that they want to fight, who's going to kill them, and it's like this big honor, and
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Karma chooses Danny. Danny fights her, kills her, and then she's going to be reborn.
Yeah, so that's sort of like in the rearview mirror of where this starts. That's sort of like in the context of that has happened, and now where do we go from here? Karma does have one cameo in X-Men the Animated Series and Beyond Good and Evil, so keep an eye out for her.
Oh, I'll watch for her.
Yeah. All right, Galura is from 2021. So her real name is Gabrielle L. Diwa. She was created by Vita Ayala and Joanna Elstep for Marvel Voices Pride #1, 2021. Her powers include flight and aerokinesis. Had you read this character before?
I did read her first appearance, which I thought was funny because a lot of the time when you read a character's first appearance,
Yeah.
it's like they were a villain and now they're a part of the team, or like, they swooped in or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Her first appearance is just being hot on the dance floor and then kissing with a main
She's
character.
got wings, Hillary, for heaven's sake.
So
well, is she?
I kept waiting for something to happen, but that was
Yeah.
really it.
But I
She
guess
was
so. It
just-
sounds like she's kind of introduced as a supporting character for Karma.
I
rather
think,
than,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not like introduced to be her own.
So I haven't read that, but she does make an appearance in Alligator Loki, which I have read.
I read that.
It's
I read
funny.
that.
They're like it's also Valentine's theme.
That's
They're on a
another one
date
where
and-
it's
yeah.
just incidental because it's
Yeah.
all
Those are
it's-
wordless. Alligator Lokis are wordless.
Alligator
comments.
Loki and regular Loki go like spreading havoc in the form of handmade Valentine.
Yes.
Around the world.
Yeah.
And Karma and Elle are chilling in a restaurant
Yeah.
and they get doused with a bunch of Valentines.
Yep.
From an alligator.
Yeah, so that's it. There's the background of our two main characters here. If you haven't read the Infinity comics before, like I said, I quite enjoy them. And they're designed to be read on a phone or a tablet, but even a tablet, they're a little too big. Like a phone is just right.
Just that scrolling
It's just
element,
a constant scroll, yeah. And I felt like this, sometimes it doesn't feel so much like they were made for that, but I feel like this really was used for that, and they did a good job of making it work specifically for that medium.
Well, a lot of the time, like I read a lot of comics now on the Marvel Unlimited app, and they do a great job with like when you can just look at the individual panels and like they go, but there's always that kind of jerky, like this panel, okay, now you're going to this panel, and now you're going to, but when they are the Infinity comics, it's like it's a nice smooth experience. The art in this was incredibly familiar to me, not in the like I've seen this artist, but it was very reminiscent of something that I couldn't quite, and I feel like it's a web comic.
Well, it certainly has that feeling. Yeah.
The character designs, not so much the swoopiness, but the character designs are very they reminded me of Jen Wang. She wrote the Strings of Fate webcomic that I loved, but she never finished it. She published a graphic novel, Coco Be Good, but her character designs, like the faces and stuff, are very similar to this.
Okay.
So anyway, in issue 1...
Yeah, let's dive in. Let's do it.
As I said, they sort of summarize how they met. So Karma and Galura...
So the issue 1 is just a summary of her initial appearance.
Yeah, it's basically exactly the same, but
okay.
you see a little bit, the narrative of it feels a little bit like it's like an overview.
I
like,
see.
oh,
I
look,
see.
Remember that time.
Yeah, all of issue 1 feels very flashbacky.
Yes. So Karma and Galura meet. You see Ileana in the background because Ileana is the one who kind of pushed Karma to to meet her.
Okay.
They dance, they kiss, they're very happy. You hear about how, Karma was with her twin brother and then she wanted all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You just hear kind of the whole thing. But the twist is that at the end of it, Galura, who's very happy for Karma in her new separation from her brother, is like, but I need some space.
Right. Yeah, it's like a huge change and she's just like, it's freaking me out. I need to,
Now, this is not... We don't need to say what happens at the end quite yet, but it doesn't go where I thought it would with her asking for space.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason for asking for space.
Yeah.
That's it for issue 1. These are all pretty brief.
Yeah.
Issue 2, you see Karma basically just like in a bar, very stereotypy, like I've been broken up with.
Yes.
I'm down in the dumps.
This is the Green Lagoon in Krakoa. This is like the hangout.
She asks for some hard liquor and gets this cute little drink with with an umbrella.
Right.
Which is funny. And then Rogue comes in and is like, you look like you're down.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Wow!
Wah! And comes in with her expertise of like, I've had some, I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah.
had some trouble with love.
Complicated. Yeah. So they're both just kind of sitting there commiserating a little bit. Blob is on bartender duty. Fred, he's got a nice handlebar mustache.
He's very approachable.
He does. He's an approachable. Yeah, he is. So Rogue just talks about, like things are weird with Gambit and I, and she talks about the Shadow King and Mystique, like messing with stuff. She says she gets the attraction to Galura. She says that she thinks Angel is, quote, hot as breakfast.
Yeah, but it's funny because she says that she can't think of any characters with wings that aren't hot.
Yeah.
And then specifically, there's the picture of Angel with his shirt off, and then right behind him, also looking like he's supposed to be all hot, is Beak.
Who's like a bird, like a legit bird. Yeah.
He's just a bird. And like a lot of his story is about his like insecurity about his appearance and stuff. Yeah. It's just funny as a throwaway for that to be.
It is. And we learn that Blob is into psychics. Jean Grey, Psylocke.
He's got a thing for him.
What
are you going to do?
So everybody's a little happier here until Galura walks in with Danny Moonstar, and it looks cozy.
She's hanging on her arm.
It looks cozy.
And so then Karma's like, Danny?
Yeah.
Because she's sort of like, I can move on. I can deal with this. But then it's like, one of my best friends.
Yeah. That would be
is
worse.
now with my ex-girlfriend.
That would be worse.
Meanwhile, she didn't break up with you, Karma.
Yeah, she's having a hard time with it.
She's
going
asked
through a lot.
for some space.
She's going through a lot.
And then, so Rogue is talking to her about this.
Yeah, we're in issue 3 now.
Karma's just being like, I can't talk to her about this because if I even talk to her, I might manipulate her with my powers and I can't trust that blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, so you've just decided that though she has asked for space, you cannot speak to her to resolve the situation. And then you're going to be acting like you've been...
Like you got dumped.
Yeah. And like you were the one who was doing this because of all of your like craziness.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're on Team Galura, I hear.
I am!
Okay.
She just asked for space
all
after
right.
her girlfriend was like murdered and whatever. Anyway.
So Rogue is questioning them a little bit about like, well, what's up with your brother? And like, she's like, we're X-Men, so I kind of have to ask, was this an evil twin?
The answer is yes.
Yes. She's like,
Karma hedges a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he did some bad things. I don't know.
Yeah. And we learn that he's obviously having trouble controlling his powers, but he's rebonding with their younger siblings, and it seems like we're on a good track.
Yeah. Then Kitty comes in. Kitty, who is wearing her little pirate costume. I don't understand why she has
She's
this,
Captain Kate Pride, the Red
Pride.
Queen of the Hellfire Trading Company.
Which is a thing.
There's so much going on now.
So Kitty comes in, and she's like, announcement, all these mutants have been, like, on Krakoa are, like... being taken over and then like losing consciousness, and none of them have come back from this. So keep an eye out.
Karma's kind of like, ooh,
I don't know what this could
I'll
be.
just be leaving.
So she goes off probably to find Tran. I would assume.
Yeah.
She runs into Cannonball, who starts speaking Vietnamese and then passes out. And she's like, so it's probably Tran.
With context clues, she was able to figure out.
Probably Tran is doing this. And then we get into issue 4. Galura and Danny see Karma leave, and they seem a little suspicious about it, kind of like maybe they think that Karma is the cause. Like, they don't seem to jump straight to Tran. They're like, let's follow her because it seems like she's doing
I
stuff.
think she went through this thing, and then she's kind of cut everybody off, and it's just like in her own little world.
And
so
she doesn't say, like, she's with Rogue, and she's not like, hey, I'm going to go find my brother. She, like... sneaks off. So it's suspicious. And then like as they're following her, they come across Cannonball, and they're like, okay, so she left and now she's leaving this trail of destruction behind her. So we've got to figure this out. Galura swoops to the skies and is like, I'm going to take care of this. And she stops Karma in her tracks and is like, listen, I don't know what's going on, and I know that like we're in a weird place.
They were on a break.
But we need... like, I'm, as your teammate, your teammate,
right.
This is important. I need to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, because Karma,
and then she slips in there.
Yeah.
By the way, I just said I wanted some space. Like, I didn't dump you.
Yeah. But they have a dramatic moment where Karma's like, it's personal, and that's not up to you anymore.
That's not your business anymore. That's my impression.
I got it. It was a big impression.
Danny finally catches up. She's a little less emotionally invested in this, but again, we just saw her with Elle.
Right.
Like, Karma is like upset, so that actually doesn't do as much as I thought it would. But Danny comes up, and Karma's like, listen, it's probably Tran, but he's not being a jerk. He's just confused, and like he's so used to being inside of me, he's not used to having to like control his own situation.
Yeah.
Galura goes back, tells Kate about what's going on. Karma keeps looking for Tran. They end up at the arena where she was killed.
Yes.
To separate them. Tran is sitting in the middle of the arena, like all swirly with his power and stuff. And it's hard to really grasp exactly what's going on with him, if he's like actually being bad or if he's out of control or a little bit of both. Just the way he talks about it is sort of like, I can't stop it, but then he'll also be like, I don't want to go back to what this is a little ambiguous about
I don't really feel like he purposely like took out Cannonball and the others. I don't really think that's what he's trying to do. But I think he's being reckless.
Reckless. That's a good, because I think he feels like I think emotionally he's distraught, and so he's not putting the effort in to clean up his mess that he might otherwise. Yeah. So then they're all like trying to reason with him, and there's a little bit with Karma trying to like kind of like she goes pink in the eyes and is like gonna kind of go one-on-one with him. So part of the reason that Tran is as like worked up as he is comes out to be that like he's sitting here in this arena, he keeps getting drawn here because he has all of this weird like all these memories of the battle, and like he felt her die and all this stuff.
Yeah, Danny
like,
kills Karma in this arena, and that's kind of what splits them. And so it's like he can't reconcile the fact that she would make that sacrifice for him. He can't understand like Danny killing her. He still has the trauma of his sister being murdered. Like it's just a lot.
It's a lot, and so he's taking over Danny at this point, and won't let her go.
Right.
Then Psylocke turns up because Psylocke.
Sure.
And
if you're going to have somebody stuck in somebody else's body, you're going to want
just
Psylocke
bring Psylocke over.
She's got some experience.
She seems like she's going to sort of fix things, but then he also takes over Galura, and then everything just kind of like feels explosive right now.
It's an escalation for sure.
So we hit issue 5. Psylocke and Karma are now on one side. Then Galura and Danny, who are possessed by Tran, are on the other side. Karma can kind of like shakes them loose, but then the next thing we see is that Tran has possessed Psylocke,
which feels worse.
It's not a great situation.
It feels worse.
It's a funny moment because like I don't know who says it, but someone's like this has escalated. Like this is not we don't
They're like
want this.
Yay! Oh no,
it's Psylocke. Great. So he's controlling Psylocke. Everybody else seems to be free for the moment. They can't untangle him from Psylocke. He reminds them that this whole time they've been having trouble pinpointing him, even with Cerebro.
Right.
So, like, what do they think they're going to do? How are they going to get him loose? And then Karma kind of has this idea, and she's like, Danny is able to feel his fear and all this stuff. Karma has this idea and is like, Danny, can you, like, send us back to our childhood? And then I think I can kind of get through to him.
Right.
And Danny's like, okay, I guess. And she does. She uses her power and kind of like sends them into this memory. Then we get to issue 6.
The finale.
So, Galura kind of controls Tran and Psylocke with her wind thing.
Yeah, we get a big like whirlwind tornado kind of thing.
So like physically they're stuck.
Yeah.
Karma grabs him psychically, and Mirage sends their minds into this memory.
Right.
So then we get to this cute little kid memory where Tran and Karma are on the beach as children, and Karma is trying to balance a soccer ball on her knee.
Yeah.
And she's like, I used to be able to do this and now I can't. And Tran, who is like doing it himself, is like, listen, you know how to do this. You've done it before. Your body remembers how to do it. You're just overthinking it. All you need to do is kind of like take in the atmosphere and just chill. And eventually you will remember and you'll like just be able to do it. And as we're reading this, we're like,
wait a minute.
This is a valuable memory to be sharing at this moment.
What other way could this apply, I wonder?
And so Tran sees what she's doing and is like, you're right, of course. I've been trying to control everything. And like, I thought that like really like grabbing onto everything was the way to control my power, but I just need to relax and let the world work as it does. Yes. And so he does, he relaxes, and everybody else wakes up. He has released his power on them, and then he's like, I'm so sorry, and he's like, can you help me control whatever? And they're like, yes, good, we're all good.
Yeah.
And this is very Krakoa. It's very like new beginnings, like I feel like before Krakoa this would be like, okay, so now you need to go in a pit,
right yeah,
where you will learn your lesson. But yeah, they're like, we're just gonna embrace you, we're gonna help you start a new life, whatever. Then we get the debrief with Galura and Karma, and this is where I was surprised, because I thought that, like, when I first heard about this and when I was reading through it, I was like, okay, so Karma goes through this thing where, like, the whole time that she has known Galura, she has been combined with her twin brother.
Right.
And then she goes through this thing where she separates from her twin brother, and Galura dumps her, or asks for space.
Asks for space.
And I was thinking, is Galura freaked out because she's fundamentally a different person now?
Right.
Not that.
Right. I know. It kind of seemed that way to me, too, that, like, there must be something to it, because it's not that it's a mystery, but it's not really explicitly stated like why she needs space.
Right.
But it has something to do with the Crucible and all that.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Crucible happens. She needs space.
Yeah.
So I thought I was very intrigued by that possibility, but that's not what it was, which is fine, whatever. But what it was that she just saw her girlfriend die.
Yeah.
And was just like freaking out about it and was like, this is a normal thing to freak out about. So I just needed space.
Yeah.
And Karma's like, oh, right, cool, okay. And then they're together again.
Yeah, they're together again, and they have a nice, like, cascading romantic scene in the end.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, she, like, Elle, like, lifts her into the sky
She's like,
with
do
her
you
wings.
trust me?
Like Aladdin.
Like Aladdin.
Like Aladdin.
Yeah.
And then swoops into the sky, and they have a beautiful kiss in the sky, and it's very nice.
The end.
The end.
What did you think?
I liked it.
I liked it, too.
I liked it.
I think my heart is more open to this kind of thing than yours.
Yeah, I'm a very
For
bitter,
Valentine's
dark
Day.
person.
I guess so.
I don't know. I liked that they included some action.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't just a schmoopy lovey romance.
Yeah.
Because I'm less patient with schmoopy lovey romances.
True, and I think it's sort of like the love angle of this is twofold, because it's the romance, but it's also the love of the siblings, like for each other, and I think I thought that was like a nice thing.
So much love.
I really did love the look of it. I mean, the look really pushed it over the edge.
I really liked the drawing. I didn't love the coloring.
Oh, I did.
I found it to just be too pastel for my taste.
Okay.
Like, it was just a little too, like, leaning hard into, like, Valentine's schmoopiness.
Yeah, well, but that's very modern,
everything's
though.
so
That's very
swirly.
webtoon.
Everything's so swirly and, like, cutesy, sort of.
Yeah.
And then to also have it be, like, this faded pastel. I don't know.
I thought the action stuff was really cool. I like one of the covers is Karma sort of like gearing up for action, and it's a cool pose.
Yeah.
I think I like what they did with Rogue, and she
I did not like her
you
design.
didn't like it? Oh, okay.
All.
Well,
I mean, like, obviously it fit well with the overall style. Like, it was Rogue in that style.
Yeah.
But it was just so
Didn't
cute.
like it. Oh.
It was
Yeah,
almost chibi. It was just so
okay.
do, and she had
Okay.
like curly hair, and I don't know.
All right.
It's just
All
me.
right. Well,
it's a me thing.
You've ruined Valentine's
It's a
Day
me
for everyone.
thing, not a them thing.
I get it.
Whatever.
Every time I read something with the New Mutants in it, like when we did Dark Web a while back and there was all that New Mutant stuff, I'm like, should I be reading the New Mutants?
Yeah, I do. I'm kind of into the New Mutants.
Yeah, right?
Like, I wasn't initially, but
Yeah.
the more I read about it, the more I read of it, I was like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
into this.
Well, I read after this, because I was kind of in the zone, I read New Mutants Lethal Legion, which is pretty new, and it is kind of the same core trio of Galura and Danny Moonstar Mirage and Karma, and there's a younger recruits. It wasn't great, but I liked the dynamic, and it actually called back to this quite a bit, so I enjoyed that. But I added some New Mutants to my to-read list, and I feel like I read, I don't know, the first 30 issues or so of the classic run, and now I got to get back into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm on board for the New Mutants, and I thought this was a delightful little Valentine's romp.
It was very nice. It was very fun and cute.
Okay.
And just another weird Krakoa
cultural
experience.
I know Eric's like not down with Krakoa, but I like it.
Well, I'm a little more into it now that I sort of get the vibe that it's like a moment, like a thing that they're trying, kind of a thing.
It's leaning more fantasy. I mean, it's becoming... Yeah.
Like, I was resistant to it because it was like, this is what X-Men is now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like it because it's so different.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing things about like, and the Krakoa experiment is coming to an end. And I'm like, oh, so it's like a bubble almost. Yeah. And I think that's I'm a little more open to it.
Yeah, but I hope it kind of leaves some fundamental changes. I hope whenever we move past the Krakoa era, it's not just like, okay, it's the 90s again.
Yeah. Well, I think something that the whole Krakoa thing does, it gives a clear way for the mutant side of the Marvel Universe to interact with the rest of the Marvel Universe,
true.
which has always been pretty rocky.
Yeah.
So, like, now they have, like, a literal consulate in New York City, which is, like, where you see all the Avengers stuff and, like, all the, you know what I mean? Like, there's like, this is where the mutants are. and they have I don't know, it's just a clearer way for them to relate to the other parts of the Marvel Universe, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, it certainly cleans it up a little bit and explains some of the, well, why don't you just call Captain America if you're having so much trouble?
Yeah.
He could probably help.
Because it's a diplomatic thing,
right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we can do it ourselves and that kind of stuff. Anyway.
What is your go-to rom-com? Is there something that you got to watch every Valentine's Day?
There's nothing that I have to watch every time, but when I think about my favorites, I've got While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and
Bill Pullman.
Pullman,
Yeah.
Which I could recite from beginning to end
All right.
right now.
Okay.
Do you want?
Go ahead. Take it away.
No, there's that. There's the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks movies.
Yeah.
You know, classics.
Okay.
What about you?
I don't know if you count Joe versus the Volcano.
I love Joe versus the Volcano.
That is definitely...
I think you could count that.
That's one of my favorites.
That's romantic.
I would say Silver Linings Playbook.
I love Silver Linings Playbook.
And I just saw one with Anthony Mackie called If You Were the Last, about two astronauts stranded in space.
So good.
And that's... Okay, yeah, it's on Peacock, but that was great. I love that.
That's so good. Everybody should watch that. It's really, really good.
That's a great modern rom-com, for sure. I like that they're kind of back, because it was that Sydney Sweeney one.
I've seen several lately.
Yeah. What's that called? Anyone But You was just in theaters.
Good.
And
that was really funny.
Kendra and I were talking about that on 90210 because we both just loved it. And it felt like such a throwback.
On your other podcast.
Sorry, y'all.
Sure. Okay, well, next animated episodes, we will have Eric back, for real.
Okay.
For Lotus and Steel. And Steel. And Weapon X Lies and Videotape.
Yeah, you say you're going to have Eric back, but he's like Brigadoon. No one can predict when he's going to appear and when he's not.
But you're just blessed when it happens.
Yeah, whenever he's here, it's a good time.
Thing.
Yeah.
So that'll be next time.
Okay.
Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Previously on X-Men is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network, which has several Valentine's Day specials out right now. So on 90s Music Got Me Like, they're doing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. And then 90210 Here We Go is doing the movie Not Since You. So that's you.
That's right, yeah. It's Kathleen Robinson who played Claire on 90210. Just left from where we are. So we were like, let's do a rom-com with her.
Okay. Yeah. So you can hop over there and see how that turns out.
Yep.
Follow us on Facebook and be sure to follow the network on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads for info on all of our shows. Please rate, subscribe, or share this show wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks for listening.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.